What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video, and in this video today I'm going to talk about the most common mistake that people make using exercises like the plank, for example. Most people, when they get into these positions, be it in a plank or a push-up position, most people don't create tension where they want to create tension, and what that ends up doing is just reinforcing the poor movement patterns that we have, and it also kind of pushes us more into the compensations that we develop over time. A lot of people struggle with lower back pain and a lot of shoulder pain as well, and that generally comes because we start to develop these compressed postures where gravity is pushing us down, which pushes our hips forward. We get an anterior tilt on our pelvis and we start to round in our upper back. That puts a lot of pressure and compression down here, and it also limits our shoulder range of motion, our scapula function, and that just leads to a whole host of problems. And when I see people in the gym and online doing exercises like planks, they get into this position but their hips start to sag and they start to round here through their upper back, and they're just strengthening the position that they're already strong in, which is actually a compensatory position. It's not a strong, stable spine where we've engaged our lower abdomen, where we've got our rib cage and pelvis stack, and where we've got taught our diaphragm and pelvis diaphragm to work together to create that stability, so then we can move off of that. And we see it all the time. People in planks, hip sag, lower back is under extreme pressure. People in push-ups where their hips just sag and they're just essentially doing these kind of like spinal extensions, putting all that pressure here, and then we wonder why our lower backs are still sore. So we need to bring more awareness to where our pelvis and rib cage are in space and start to restore our ability to be able to stack, but also teach our body how to breathe here, how to create tension in our transverse abdominis and our obliques, because these are the key muscles that create that platform of stability, so then we can start to move our rib cage and rotate, and also we want to be able to pull ourselves back into our decompressed posture, which would be a nice stack on our rib cage and pelvis, nice extension to our thoracic, okay? But that all starts by focusing on exercises that actually promote that. And doing planks may be a great exercise in theory, but if you're not doing it with the right awareness, then it's actually just layering on your compensations. So we're going to show you now one really key and one really important hack that you can use in exercises like your push-ups and your planks to help change that for you. Okay, so if we want to actually get more out of our plank positions and push-up positions and teach our bodies how to be able to create that good intra-abdominal pressure and get our rib cage and pelvis stack, one cue and one technique that we use with our clients all the time is to use a wall reference. So Veronica here is going to show us how this can actually impact the alignment and the pressure we're able to create here at our spine, okay? So if Veronica does a push-up, okay, if she does a regular push-up and she comes down, so come down into the push-up, just do it, yeah, and she comes down. Now she's holding a good position here, okay, but if she comes down into the push-up, okay, and lets her heels follow, what will happen is she'll start to drop her hips and dump into her lower back, particularly if she gets tired and now all that force is just going here, okay? But now if Veronica comes back and sets up on the wall, so she's going to put her full foot in contact with the wall here, and the key thing she's going to focus on is, okay, she's going to pressurize her heel into the wall, driving that heel in, and what that's going to do is pull her pelvis back into a better tucked position. So if Veronica just allows her heels to drift away from the wall, and you'll see that her hips start to drop. So if she pulls away, yeah, now she starts to pressurize here, she pushes all the force forward. Whereas if she's able to get the weight back now, drive into the wall, automatically that makes her much more solid here at this pelvis. Now if she goes into a push-up while keeping these heels in contact, it's going to feel much, much harder because now she's having to integrate her entire structure here, okay? So just come down and relax for a second. So what we're essentially doing there is, if we are in standing, for example, and we get the compensations where we start to drift forward in space and get this pressure on our lower back, it starts to push the weight forward in our feet. So if you just stand up for me for a second and we'll show what that looks like. So if you face side on, so if Veronica starts to like shift her weight forward onto her feet here, her pelvis starts to drift forward, and now she gets this compression start to happen here, this rounding, because her pelvis is drifted forward. But if she now rocks her pelvis back and feels her body weight come back more onto her heels, now it takes that pressure off of here, and it's much easier for her to start finding this stack throughout her body, okay? And that's essentially what we're doing in these positions with the wall. We're just cueing that reference and pressure on the heel, and that's helping us train ourselves now in better positions. So if Veronica comes back down, we're going to show you one last variation of this using a plank. So to set up for this, we're going to, again, push our heels into the wall, okay? So if you come down onto your forearms in a plank position, so she's driving her heels into the wall, she's coming up into her plank. She's maintaining that cue all the time of these are glued into the wall. She has that tuck on her pelvis, and she's driving her forearms into the floor. From here now, what she's going to do is keep that tuck, and she's going to think of sending her sternum kind of through to the floor and lifting it just a little bit up in front, okay? And now she's going to breathe in that position. Just take a breath in and come down and relax for me. Okay, so we're going to show you again one last time in a second. We'll give her some time to relax. But what we're going to do is, again, cue the heels been driven into the wall. And what that is essentially doing is getting our weight back, and it helps us pull that pelvis into a much, much better position. So one last time, Veronica's going to come down, and she's going to firstly drive her heels into the wall. Okay, slight little bend on the knees. We don't need them fully extended. She's going to get her tuck on her pelvis. She's going to drive her forearms into the floor so that her scapula is spread, and she's extending the spine. Now we've got a nice straight spine here. She's going to breathe into the rib cage, breathe out using the abs. So contract those abs in, keep that tuck. Just 2 more breaths for me, breathing into the rib cage, keeping that tuck. Okay, and one last time, really drive that posterior tuck, and exhale. And relax. So you want to give us some insight as to how that feels by like pushing your heels in.
I think you will start immediately feeling the difference in your alignment when you're pushing the heels against the wall. You feel suddenly how your core is really engaging from the top to the bottom through the whole trunk, and also lifting through the sternum towards the head makes you also stronger. It's not an easy task to do because you're pushing either a hands or forearm against the floor, and cueing to elevate through your chest, through the sternum, can make you drop in your scapulas, which is something we don't want. So think about it, that you're really like lengthening through the whole torso, through the head, and that's what makes you strong and stable, like holding that position.
Nice. And what about the breath?
About the breath, yes, I think if you find a sparring partner who can put the hands on your rib cage, it will be a really nice reference for you, that you really should expand through your rib cage to the side, to the back, and to the front as you inhale. And as you exhale, the rib cage is simultaneously coming from all the sides back to the original position.
Nice, yeah. So this reference, this foot reference on the wall is, again, we're just trying to manipulate our body center of gravity, but it has a huge impact that makes a huge difference, particularly if you get lower back pain when you're doing something like a plank or push-ups, or you just have lower back pain in general. It's likely you're kind of dumping all your force and load through there. So the wall reference helps get us back on our heels a little bit more and start to distribute that pressure more evenly. And this is what we use with clients. This exact exercise is in our 9-week Corrective Foundations Program. And if you want more details on how you can get involved with that or join it, just check the description below and you'll be able to see when our next start date is happening, and you can sign up, you can find out more information there. But that's essentially it for this one, guys. Start getting back closer to the wall for your planks and push-ups. Start to recalibrate the positioning of your pelvis and rib cage, and you're going to feel that lower back pain start to ease off quite quickly. So that's it for this one, guys. We'll catch you in the next one. Make sure you like and subscribe and all that good stuff, and hope you all have a great week.
Happy planking.